My name's Melissa. Today I'd like to share my abortion stories. And I think that the way I'll do that is kind of give a timeline. I've been pregnant 5 times. I have 1 living child. She's 6. She's lovely, smart, my very favorite person to have a conversation with. But there were pregnancies before her and pregnancies after her. So the first time I was pregnant, I was newly engaged and we were pretty excited about the pregnancy. It wasn't quite planned, but we did in fact want to have children. So we got married a few months later, and then after that we decided to have the anatomy scan, which was at, I believe, 22 weeks. I remember very vividly the ultrasound tech giving us that ultrasound and saying, oh, hey, this doesn't look right, and this isn't supposed to be there, and oh, what's that black mass? Kind of unprofessional, but we were really scared. We were naive. We had no idea that anything like this could happen, that there could be anything wrong with the pregnancy. We kind of just went in because my husband at the time really wanted to know what the sex of the baby was. The baby had fetal obstructive uropathy, which means that it was a boy, his name was Noe, that Noe couldn't urinate. So I had very little amniotic fluid, and beyond that, the bladder was completely full, the abdomen was distended, there was no way for him to urinate in any normal way. So eventually his kidneys failed, and the doctors had given us many different choices in terms of keeping the pregnancy or not keeping the pregnancy, but ultimately when it came down to it, between them and us, our family, our friends, we decided to terminate the pregnancy, being given the information that that baby had about a 3% chance of living, and that life would not be a life that we would want to bring into this world. We just didn't feel like that was fair to that baby or anyone who would be taking care of that baby. We were very lucky because we had a very loving midwife, loving family. Everyone was very supportive, and I was able to labor and deliver in a hospital with my midwife. I held him. My mother-in-law at the time baptized him, even though we were not particularly religious. That's something that she really wanted to do, and we really got to have an experience that I feel lucky for having had. So that was really hard. We then tried to, get pregnant afterwards. We had about 2 years of infertility. In those 2 years, we did get pregnant once and had a miscarriage. I had a miscarriage at 11 weeks. And then we just kind of decided to take a break for a while for various reasons. I went to grad school, and somewhere along the way, we did get pregnant with our daughter. And she was, everything about that pregnancy and that birth, I had a home birth, was what I wanted. I've always wanted children. I still may want more children. And even though she came at a time that when we weren't quite ready, we knew that she was meant to be. I breastfed Hazel. She breastfed a lot. She was a 10-pound baby. She liked milk. And I did not get my period back for 18 months. During that time, I knew there was a possibility that I could get pregnant, but I was careful, and, it was sort of a non-issue. At 18 months, my period did, my period did come back, and the very next month I got pregnant. No one involved was ready to have another child come into this world. At that point, my husband and I had decided to separate, and so we made that decision based on Hazel's well-being, our well-being. I think I was 6 weeks, 7 weeks. I was awake for that abortion. I drove myself to the appointment and drove myself home. There was something I wanted to kind of experience that. I wanted to feel empowered by the procedure. But looking back, I probably wouldn't be awake again. It was definitely not my favorite day. It hurt. I had probably some emotional stuff going on too at the same time. So dealing with all of that, it was not my best experience. That being said, the staff took good care of me. I can't really complain about the environment at all. It was just more where I was. My husband and I did decide to separate and then divorce. We're actually very good co-parents. Hazel and the two of us have a very good relationship. I feel very lucky, very fortunate for that. I later had, a couple relationships, and during one of those relationships, I did become pregnant again. It was not planned. It was not planned. It was, the situation was not good. And, that person had issues. I probably had some issues going on. I was, I think, about 6 weeks, 6, 7 weeks, and I chose to be asleep this time. I'm glad that I did. I certainly had some emotions surrounding the pregnancy. At that time, I think that if it were with the right person, I may have considered having another baby. But it just wasn't. It wasn't the right situation. I really took for granted my fertility, my cycles. I wasn't that focused on not getting pregnant so much. But after that last abortion, I really took control of my fertility. I am now on birth control pill. It's not my favorite thing in the world, for sure, but I feel confident about my sexuality and about, not getting pregnant. I hope that other people will share their stories. I look forward to hearing them, and you are not alone.